Hello, and thank you for joining me for The Wisdom of Wealth, a show where we help educate Canadians about fundamental financial literacy topics to help you make better and more informed decisions and to know when and where to reach out for help. I'm your host, Jason Pereira. Today on The Wisdom of Wealth, we are going to talk about something that helps serve as the primary source of protecting people and their families, employee benefits plans. Many employers in Canada look to attract, retain, and reward their employees by providing them with various insurance benefits to protect them and their families. These programs can cover a wide range of benefits and can often get very confusing. Today we're going to talk briefly about various types of protection that these plans provide you with. Let's get started with one of the simpler benefits, life insurance. Life insurance is a pretty easy benefit to understand. If you die, your beneficiaries receive a benefit to help pay for final expenses and help take care of the people you leave behind. The amount of insurance you receive under a typical benefit plan is either a flat amount, like $20,000, or a multiple of your income, like 2 times your income up to a certain maximum. Many plans also include small benefits for spouses and children, like $25,000 for a spouse and $5,000 per child. One important thing to remember here is that these amounts are not based on your personal situation, and that this amount may not be sufficient to cover your family's needs. Make sure to get advice from a qualified advisor as to what will meet your needs. The next benefit we're going to talk about is accidental death and dismemberment, or AD&D. AD&D is a policy that will pay you and your beneficiaries a benefit if you die in an accident or an accident causes you the loss of part of your body. Benefits are pretty simple. It's typically equal to the same amount as your life insurance. So if you die in an accident, your beneficiaries will receive double. However, I will warn you, this is very, very rare. The vast majority of deaths are caused by health issues. The next benefit we're going to talk about is disability insurance. Disability insurance is arguably the most important benefit you have access to. This form of insurance covers you in case you have a medical reason that you can't go to work. The most common reasons people claim of this benefit are musculoskeletal, soft tissue, and mental nervous. Benefits can either be short-term, lasting the first 120 days of your disability, or more commonly, long-term, starting after 120 days, going for 2 years, 5 years, or until age 65. The amount you're entitled to is based on a percentage of your income, typically 2/3 up to a certain maximum. Benefits can be tax-free or taxable depending on how the plan is structured. This is arguably the most important benefit you can have access to, as it helps protect your earnings should you be unable to work. Now let's talk about the next benefit, critical illness insurance. Critical illness insurance is a type of insurance that will pay you a lump sum should you survive 30 days beyond the date of diagnosis of a critical condition. The most commonly covered critical conditions are heart attack, cancer, stroke, open heart surgery, and MS. Those account for about 90% of claims. The difference between disability and critical illness is that one pays you if you can't go to work for a long period of time, whereas the other one, critical illness, pays you a flat sum should you just get diagnosed. And the reason this is important is because oftentimes you may have a condition that gets you back to work before that 120-day benefit starts to kick in, but you will still face increased costs due to missed work or increased costs of medication and expenses. Now let's move on to the next type of coverage, dental. Dental benefits are pretty self-explanatory. It pays for you to go to the dentist. But there's a little bit more to it. Dental benefits fall into one of 3 categories. Basic preventative, which covers routine cleanings and scalings. Major restorative, which is more serious things like crowns and replacements. And orthodontics, which can cover braces. Each category has its own limit per year, so be aware of what those limits are. Now, the next benefit we're going to talk about is probably the second most important benefit, extended health. Extended health plans are made up of various benefits including pharmaceutical plans that pay for prescription medication, paramedical practitioner benefits that pay for chiropractors, massage therapy, and other medically necessary professionals, hospital plans that pay for private or semi-private rooms, vision plans that pay for glasses, and travel medical that basically takes care of coverage outside of the province or when you're on vacation. It's very important that you're aware that you have these benefits and what their limits are. The next benefit you might have access to is something called a health spending account. health spending accounts are sometimes offered by employers and provide you with a set dollar amount that you can use to cover medical benefits not fully covered by the extended health plan. This can be used to your discretion. The benefit amount is usually a set dollar amount set by the employer per year. Depending on the plan you have, if you don't use it all in 1 year, you might be able to roll it over to the next year. Now let's move on to the next benefit, second opinion services. We've all heard that it makes sense to get a second opinion on advice that you receive, whether it's medical or financial. Second opinion services are available on many plans, and most people don't even know they're there. This is a service that will get you a second opinion from one of the top experts in the world if you are diagnosed with a serious medical condition. Instead of going to another specialist in your local area, you can benefit from the opinion of one of the top doctors in the world of that specific issue. Now, let's talk about the last benefit of the day, Employee Assistance Programs, or EAPs. EAP programs are designed to help employees with personal and work-related problems and provide access to services to help keep them healthy and working. These services are broad, but include counseling and psychology, smoking cessation programs, weight loss counseling, elder care advice, and countless other services. Now, we've covered a lot of benefits briefly today, and there is a lot to know to make sure that you're making the most of your plan. Now, in order to help us discuss some of the key points that you should know, I've invited financial and insurance advisor Ruben Pereira to join me in the studio today. Joining me in studio today, I have Ruben Pereira, investment and insurance advisor. Ruben, thanks for taking the time to come in.
No, thank you, Jason. Thank you very much for having me.
So let's clear up the first question. We are not related.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No.
Fair enough. Just an odd similarity. No, it's not. Okay, fair enough. So, Ruben, I brought you in to expand upon the conversation I just had about group benefits. There's a lot to know, and I covered it very briefly, but I want to talk about various topics related to that. So, but before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it you do, and where do you work?
Okay, so I work with an independent firm, GP Wealth Management, with a focus on financial planning. My practice has taken a focus on group benefits with business owners, and it's interesting. It's a growth opportunity. There's a lot of employees wanting benefits, and employers are looking to create a total rewards package for their staff.
Makes a lot of sense. So let's start with the employers first. So an employer wants to put one of these in place. What is involved, and what is important for them to keep in mind?
So, I mean, you want to make sure that you have a competitive offering, right? Competitive within your industry, competitive with your competition. You want to make sure that your staff has a schedule of coverage that really reflects what they value and what they need and what they'll use.
So there's a lot of nomenclature involved with these plans that often trips people up. So let's talk about one of the first terms people come across, which is deductible. What is a deductible on a group plan?
So deductible is a fixed amount that the employee would have to pay out of pocket when filling up a subscription or seeing a practitioner or going to the dentist.
Yeah, so it's a set sum, and once I hit that, then the plan kicks in, correct?
Of course, absolutely. So you hit that deductible. It can be sometimes you can do $25 for a single member or $50 for a family member. So once you've hit that and you've exhausted that deductible, then the plan will kick in with the coinsurance.
Interesting. So coinsurance is another term people get tripped up on. Now, what does that mean?
So coinsurance is the amount that that the employee is paying out of pocket and the plan covers. Typically, it's not unreasonable to see plans at 100%, but a lot of times we'll have plans set up with an 80 or 70% coinsurance. So 70% is reimbursed by the plan, and then the 30% would be paid out of pocket by the employee.
So what's the purpose of both deductibles and coinsurance? Like, why are they in place?
So we'll implement deductibles and coinsurance. Really, it's a cost containment measure, but it's also used as a way to have employees invest in the plan, so they understand the cost.
Because otherwise, if you're covered for 100% of everything, you don't stop twice to think about spending money.
Absolutely.
And the next thing you know, the employer gets this renewal that jacks the price up 20, 25%, and the entire plan's in danger.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ask the questions, right? If you go to a dentist and you're invested in the plan, if there's a coinsurance, maybe you're going to think twice about,
no gold teeth?
No gold teeth, that's right, absolutely
Fair
not.
Enough. Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. So these plans, oftentimes when people hear insurance, they start worrying about medical testing, right? So let's talk about if that happens and when that happens.
So when it comes to medical underwriting for enrollment in a group benefits plan, typically if it's a new member enrolling in the plan, there's no medical underwriting involved, which is really good, right? Because if you're applying for health and dental insurance individually, there's always going to be some sort of paramedical questionnaire.
So even if I've already got some severe medical issue, I'm a really bad diabetic, whatever it might be, I could still be covered by the plan because my employer's put this thing forth.
Absolutely, and that's one of the huge benefits. The only situation we run into with medical underwriting is if someone declines coverage when it's proposed, and then at a later date they decide, hey, wait a second, I'm sick now and I want coverage.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it's the old saying when it comes to insurance, you really only want it when your house is on fire. Unfortunately, no one's going to give you the insurance when your house is on fire.
That's right.
So you need it beforehand.
It's preventative.
Exactly. So, one of the terms that's thrown around that we'll come across is something called non-evidence maximums. Can you explain how those work and how that may involve medical underwriting?
So non-evidence maximums, typically that's applied to short-term and long-term disability. And essentially, we use NEMs to set a limit for the amount of coverage that we're applying for.
So basically, I can get X amount of coverage with no medical. What happens if I qualify for more than that?
So if you qualify for more than that, then you'd have to provide a proof of income, for example. So if we apply for a long-term disability option on a plan, we'll usually use the lowest earning individual to set the non-evidence maximum. Not that you don't want to discriminate between anyone on the plan. Anything above and beyond, not to say that the employee can't get the reimbursement at their salary, but you'll have to provide proof of income over and above that non-evidence maximum.
Excellent. So I mentioned previously how you shouldn't just assume that because the employer gave you some life insurance that you have enough life insurance. Can we talk about basically what is involved in actually figuring out how much life insurance you should need?
So when it comes to life insurance in a group plan, one of the benefits is that most group benefits plans, they'll have some sort of offering on the life insurance front. It could be a multiple of earnings, or it could be a fixed amount. And in most cases, employees have the option to get or apply for more coverage if need be. And there will be some medical underwriting that's required with that.
So that's interesting. So yeah, many plans offer the ability to get more. So if I have a choice between the group more insurance or going out and getting my own, what's the better case?
Oh, of course. It's always a better option to source your own life insurance independently. One, you most likely get better rates if you market those rates, and secondly, the coverage is yours. It really goes with you as you go along.
So I change jobs, my employer decides to change my program, that could reduce my level of coverage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And your employment is not guaranteed, unfortunately, right? And neither is your health.
No.
Neither is your health, right? So if you source your own coverage, obviously it's in an ideal situation, you discuss that with a financial advisor or an insurance advisor, and they'll do a needs analysis and kind of help you identify how much insurance you need and what types of products that you can implement. But essentially, source your own coverage for anything above and beyond what you need.
I think the same advice applies to critical illness. I think disability is a little bit different. And one of the key things that I encounter is when we start dealing with executives who have very high salaries, oftentimes there might be a limit on how much disability they're entitled to per month, $2,500, $5,000, whatever it might be.
That's right.
But if someone's earning a couple $100,000 a year, that's not going to be anywhere near enough to cover out what they're making before. In situations like that, what should be done?
So when it comes to disability plans, disability options on a group benefits plan, your total earnings may not be reflected on that group coverage. In those cases, it's always an ideal situation to speak with a qualified professional and source your own private coverage to top up the difference. A lot of disability plans, they pay out based on net earnings. So you want to make sure that you're covered in case something does happen and you can't go to work.
Because if someone's living out, high income earners say they're living off $100,000 after tax, and their group coverage covers 60, that's a big haircut. That's a big reduction.
Oh,
in lifestyle.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think most Canadians aren't prepared for that, right?
No.
They don't think about that.
And I would say disability is probably the most undersold product I come across because it's harder to get individually. It's
complex.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap because unfortunately the stats are something like 1 in 3, or 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 people is going to be coming down with a disability for some point in their lives.
Yeah.
Right? It's not.
It's a very similar stat, Jason, with critical illness. 1 in 3 Canadians, I believe, the
gets
stat
cancer
is,
and
will receive they'll suffer critical illness in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal, and the insurers know that, and premiums do reflect that risk.
Yeah. That's the thing about insurance. If insurance looks expensive, it's because it's more likely to happen to you.
That's right.
That house on fire, the insurance for $1 million is going to cost you $1 million, right?
The term policy for $20 a month, they figured out, the actuaries, that something may not happen.
Yeah, if it's that cheap, it's because it's unlikely to happen, but it's still important.
Yeah.
So people will have these plans in place. If they were to leave that employer, say retire, and they want to maintain coverage, what are their options?
So while you're in the plan, it's great. You have the options. You use the plan. But if for an unforeseen circumstance you're terminated from your job for whatever reason, you do have the option to continue coverage individually with another insurer. You can continue with the same insurer that the group is with, or you can approach another insurer. Most have the option to convert to an individual policy within 60 days.
So if I do that, will the benefits be the same?
The benefits will not be the same. So when it comes to individual coverage, those are more cookie cutter plans. So they might have like a basic package, an intermediate, and a more comprehensive.
And if I want the comprehensive one, I'm probably going to have to provide medical information, right?
Maybe not. When it comes to individual coverage coming from a group plan, one of the benefits of that is not needing to provide medical evidence, which is huge, right? I mean, if you're healthy, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not healthy, you want to make sure that you can get into a plan and they're going to cover pre-existing conditions.
Now, let's talk about the important part to this that often really shocks a lot of customers when I show them this, is the cost, right? When you're working for someone and it's coming, whether you're paying for part of it or not, it's coming off your T4, you really don't necessarily see how much these plans are covering. And if the employer is paying for all of it, then you definitely don't see it. When we start quoting people for these individually, they are often shell-shocked. So, on an employee basis, what does this typically look like in terms of cost for having one of these plans?
So it depends, right, Jason? Yeah. When it comes to employee plans, I mean, one of the real big benefits is that you're able to market the plan, and so the whole process, there's a design element. So we'll design a few different options with different schedules of coverage. We might design a plan, a super comprehensive plan at 100% reimbursement, covering, paramedical practitioners, travel policies, everything. And then maybe a less comprehensive plan at 70 or 80% reimbursement. And once you market the plan, it really allows the premiums to be, very competitive by having one insurer trying to match or beat for the business, right?
But it's not unusual that if we're looking for, say, a single employee, that's going to cost in the hundreds per month, and maybe 100, 200 per month. And for families, it's entirely possible that gets to 500 plus.
It could be $300, $400, $500 depending on the coverage.
Yeah. So and this is what I often see, I'll see people come out of these plans saying, I'm not going to have this benefit anymore, I just want to replace it. And I hit them with the bill that's going to be $6,000 for the year, and they're like, "You're crazy!
Well,
I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to pay $6,000 per year."
Yeah.
It's like, well, you have to understand something. Your employer was paying this on your behalf before, and they really had no idea. Right? Also, I mean, when people leave employed positions and they become self-employed, right? They often don't take that into consideration, right? And what that was costing, and that's you think you bring home some amount, but it's actually costing a lot more for that employer to have you around.
And that's right, Jason. That's a great point. And I think employers realize that as well, and so do employees these days. That a benefits package really is part of a total rewards package, a total compensation package for the staff member. You'd be surprised how many employees would rather take
the cash,
a more more comprehensive plan over a raise.
Interesting. I've seen both before, but
it depends. A younger guy is probably going to take the cash, and then a family is probably going to want the benefits, right?
Now, one important thing to keep in mind that I tell everyone I deal with on this note, this is not a blank check, right? Like a lot of people treat these things like, oh, great, I'm entitled to X number of massages per year.
Shopping spree.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like these things are there to help keep you healthy. If you do not medically need to go to the chiropractor every month, don't go to the chiropractor, right? Like I've actually seen cases where employers have welcomed in and said, oh, let's have a massage therapist on site every week. Now, if that happens, what are we looking at in renewals?
Well, that's the problem, right, Jason? And that's one of the, I mean, I know we touched on it a bit earlier, and that's one of the reasons why we do want to have, some level of co-insurance, just to make sure that the employees are invested and they understand the cost to the plan and the cost to the employer, right?
Because if it's 100% covered and someone says, maybe you should do this, you're like, why not?
That massage won't really hit you, right? But if you get 5 or 6 massages, that's 5 or 6 for the husband, 5 or 6 for the wife, and
if you're $20 out of pocket every time, you're going to stop and think about it every time you're finishing up the $20. Right?
And then when that renewal comes up and their premiums go up 30%, you're going to think, wait a second, maybe I didn't need 5 massages, right?
So, whenever we see the plans coming out, it's like, oh, look, all the paramedical practitioners are maxed out in these categories. It's like, you guys are really enjoying this a little bit too much.
That's right. And and some employers, they're happy to see that. I've been in situations where they said, great, they're using it. And others are thinking, well,
was that bill higher? Maybe not. They were using it. They were using it, but they didn't use other things, so it stayed the same, right? Good. Excellent. Well, Rupen, thank you very much for taking the time to come in today and help people understand what's going on with their group benefits plan. And thank you yet again for joining us for the Wisdom of Wealth. Hopefully, we've helped increase your financial literacy today and help you make better choices surrounding your employee benefits plan. Until next time, I'm Jason Pereira. Take care.